Okay, so hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to our CPD session 1. And just to say that you're more than likely going to be watching this remotely, which is absolutely great. And we just wanted to go through some important information for you to help you support you looking after our associate teachers. So this is our agenda for this evening. We're going to be looking at these sections, and we should be finished within the hour in order for you to have some time to go away and digest the information that we've shared, hopefully today. So a very warm welcome, and if you're watching this remotely, obviously it's great that you're taking part in this activity, and actually we're looking forward to working with you, and certainly our university tutors are working with you in school as well. So just some introductions. My name is Anne Whitaker and I'm the partnership lead. Kath, do you want to say who you are?
Hi, yes, I'm Kath Minott-Waller. I'm one of the senior lecturers here at BCU, and I work closely with Anne with the partnership, but particularly with developing sort of the mentoring to support you in helping our trainees in school.
Thanks, Kath, that's great. So have I just noticed somebody coming in there, Kath, as well? So if you just want to welcome those perhaps in the chat bar. So we're going to be working with you together and other university colleagues, particularly those who are going to be coming into school to see you on site. And we're very, very much hoping that between us, we're going to be able to support and develop our associate teachers who are working with you in school. And huge thanks to you as well for supporting our associate teachers. If you happen to be a new school that is working with us for the first time, then a really warm welcome to our partnership. And if you haven't worked with us for a while but are coming back, a warm welcome back as well. So all of you are welcome to be part of this particular CPD, and particularly if you've got PGCE School-Based Training 1 associate teachers, or you have BA Year 3 associate teachers in your school. So just to let you know that our approach this year is slightly different to last year, in as much as CPD Training 1, which is this particular training, and CPD 2 will go hand in hand, so that we'll be looking at aspects of giving effective feedback today and the critical incident process in this particular session, and then we'll be looking at setting those SMART targets and looking at target setting more specifically in our second CPD, which will be taking place in a couple of weeks' time. So one of the things that it would be great if you haven't already done so is for you to access our mentor induction, and all being well, your associate teachers should have shared with you already our school-based training mentor guidance of 2022, 2023, 24. If they haven't done that, then please don't worry. I'm going to show you our website shortly, so that will be able to help you to signpost and guide you to where you can find this key document. And also we have our school colleague mentor briefings, which will take place and have taken place, particularly for our PGs and BA Year 3s. But again, please don't worry if you've already missed those meetings. They are on our partnership website, which we're going to be having a look at shortly. So just to kind of support you and guide you with all of our BCU process and documentation, this is our primary partnership website. So I'm just going to click on the link here. I should be able to bring the site up for you, and we can go through this in a little bit more detail. So this is our primary partnership website. For those of you who have worked with us before, this is something we developed last year, and we are developing it as an ongoing process because we work closely with you as mentors. So any ideas and any support and any guidance that you can give us, then please talk to your university tutor or contact myself at the end, or Kath at the end of this session, so that we can kind of share your ideas and perhaps expedite those on the website. So the key areas that you'll be interested in are the mentor CPD and support, placement documents and briefings, and the ITE curriculum and subject-specific prompts. So all of the information here in this top section will be shared with you. You may have already had this shared with you last term, where we handed some cards for you, which had specifically this information, this key information for you. And these links are there for you to use and access at any point when you're in school. So all of these sections here are for you to help to navigate the key elements as part of our processes. And then we have the subject, the school-based training mentor guidance, as well as our mentor induction. So all of this information can be accessed, as well as our CPD sessions, not only for this evening and this week, but also up and coming sessions, together with something new for this year, drop-in sessions to help you as mentors. If you have got a particular query that perhaps your university tutor hasn't been able to access, we'll be able to support you with further. And again, we have information about our placement documents and briefings, so that if you have, for example, a PG associate teacher, if you click on the hyperlink, it will take you straight to our section, which looks at the PG and all the information for school-based training 1. Together with, if you do happen to have an associate teacher who is on a slightly different school-based training, for example, if they're on school-based training 3, that information is there available to you as well. And again, for you to look at and to help to support your understanding of our curriculum, we have our BCU IT curriculum section, which again just identifies some key aspects which we're going to be looking at a little bit later on, subject-specific, giving subject-specific feedback and how to support your understanding of our PGC and our BA curriculums as well. Any questions so far, Kath?
No, we haven't got any questions, but I would just like to welcome Claire Bick from Autumn Primary School. She has just asked, is it just me on here? I was just responding. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Claire. We do, honestly, thank you so much for joining tonight. I hadn't realised, I was saying to Kath, that the 6th today was the first day back at school after half term. I was assuming everybody would be back in school. You know, some schools, they've had their half term. So don't worry, if you're here, you'll know some of the information, Claire, but I think some of the new bits will be quite helpful to you as well.
Can I just ask, so it's Claire again, sorry.
Yeah, hi Claire.
So it is just me on, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. You're fine. Yeah.
Can I ask you one big question, actually, that's really useful? Last year, you had on, I'll put my camera on, actually. You had on this website a brilliant overview, a timetable of every, and I can't find that for the life of me on that website.
Don't worry.
Where is it?
Claire, I've just uploaded it today. There's a couple of bits missing, but actually I'm going to go through that in a moment, actually. So if I just quickly go through to that point, I'll show you where it is, and actually it should be live by the end of today, but it's been done, and you'll have that because it is really helpful, and I'm really sure that will be no problem. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just carry on, Claire, and then obviously we can, because we're recording this session for people who weren't able to join today. So obviously if we can carry on, and then if obviously got any more questions, then either use the chat bar and we'll have a chat at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can only stay to 4:30. Sorry, is that okay?
That's fine, no problem. We'll some of this bit we'll just quickly go through, and then obviously the bit about giving effective feedback, I think it'd be really useful to get your thoughts and ideas about that.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And just to say that obviously in order to support good mentoring, we've got our mentor induction and mentor video and PowerPoint, which you can access by using the links here. And whilst there is information for you to share and have a look at, please do it in your own time and make sure that you kind of drip feed or make sure you space that information out as well. And this is again an indication of our drop-in, our CPD 1 and 2, and our drop-in dates. So please, again, you'll find these on the Primary Partnership website. Please click on the links. This is where we'll be sharing information. And once we have our full list of our UTs who have been into school and making sure they've got all their contact details for all of our mentors, we'll be also emailing mentors as well. And this, Claire, is the information, the guidance that you were looking for. So this is our CPD mentor calendar. So what I've done is I've put this in its entirety, but also spread it out for PGs and for BA Year 3s as well, so that it should be easy for you to be able to access and be able to make sure you've got the dates in your diaries, etc., that are relevant. So please look out for that. It should be coming live shortly. And I'm glad you found it helpful, because I think it's one thing that I ummed and hard about doing it, but I think actually from feedback, people do find it really helpful and useful. And then just quickly, we've got also, if you have missed any of the briefing meetings, the school colleague briefing meetings, I've put these up here as well for easy access for the BA QTS Year 3s and for the PGs for school-based training 1. Again, you can find these links if you click on the link either on this presentation or you go straight to the Primary Partnership website. You'll be able to find that information too. And I'm just hoping that Claire, for example, you've had the school-based training mentor guidance. Has your associate teacher shared that with you?
Yes, I think so.
You think so? Yes, it's hopefully it's
yes,
it's
I did. Yes, that came through.
Did.
Yes, it's right.
So
it's more or less like their form, isn't it? But it's just for me. It's more like
yes.
I've got that.
Yeah, great. This is what it should look like. I'm not sure whether that's going to come up very clearly on the screen, but this is the guidance. It's got all the contents there. It gives you all of the information that kind of, as you say, dovetails into the progress journal as well. So that gives you some more details and information for you to make sure that you're aware of what the processes are as far as having your associate teacher. Great. So over to you, Kath. I think, and great to have you on the call, Claire. This is going to be useful, I think, to get your thoughts and ideas about what you think good feedback looks like. Thanks, Kath. Do you want to take over, take control? Okay. You're good to go.
Okay, sorry, I had my mic off. So looking at effective feedback, and we're sort of considering sort of verbal and written feedback, and I know we've done quite a lot of work around written feedback as well. Just wondering, Claire, what are your thoughts? What does that good feedback look like from a verbal point of view? So following, and it would obviously perhaps be informal or formal, so following a formal observation or just that ongoing verbal feedback. What are your thoughts?
I'm trying to just say, looking at lots of mentoring books and things at the moment, and it's this idea of you've got to try and, I've noticed I've got to try and coax out of them. I have to stop myself just giving them the answers all the time, and it's the coaching element of it where you're like, well, how could you improve this? What would you do better next time? It's those sort of phrases that you always ask, well, what I always start with, what do you think went well and what do you think you could work on? I try and start with that, and then we delve a bit deeper then into the what could we work on sort of area then, and I try and get them to give me the answer. I have to stop myself a lot sometimes at the start. I try and give some hints as to, well, what could we have done? How could you have changed that? But I think that's the key thing, I think, if that's right at all, I'm not sure.
No, I think absolutely, because I think what we need to be doing is actually giving them that confidence and encouraging them to be reflective in their own practice. And I think, giving them that opportunity for them to share their thoughts and feelings after an observation is really important, isn't it? If I go on to the next slide, so we kind of have a chat about this. So we kind of came up, and this has been supported through our BCU mentoring hub actually as well, but I think some of these principles are really important. So feedback can be verbal or written, but if we're talking particularly verbal, I think it's about asking those questions that you've just mentioned, Claire, and sort of elicit where the associate teacher is coming from, which direction, and what is their perspective of what they've of how they felt it has gone. I'm just going to go to the next slide just to so that this so eliciting is asking those questions, and then the importance of listening to what they're saying, because I think we can then glean from them where they are in their own development as well, and what their understanding they're bringing from it. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. So, because as you can see, sometimes when they haven't got the answers, then you know, right, this is an area they're obviously not quite so, you know, secure in this sort of like, oh, how to deal with this, what could I have done? And so then you want to then try and, you know, give them those scaffolding then to help them build that area that they're, you know, sort of struggling on a little bit. Sometimes they can give you an answer straight away, oh, I should have done that. Then you know they're thinking about it, they've got the knowledge, they just haven't used it correctly. Whereas other times when they can't give the answer, then you know, well, this is an area we need to support and work with, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so, you know, those asking those questions is really important, but also listening so that we do gauge that, and we do then know where to pitch that conversation, really, don't we? And what, you know, where do we go with that dialogue next? I think, and then the other thing is, and I think you've picked up on that really, is that challenge, isn't it? So you can then come in because you are the more experienced other in this situation, you know, you are the expert colleague, where you can bring that different perspective and another point of view, and maybe that you've you know, you've picked up on points perhaps where that associate teacher isn't quite there yet, like you've said, so they haven't quite grasped those specific areas or focused enough on what it is that you think that they should be working towards next.
Yeah, or like the depth of knowledge, if it's like subject knowledge they're lacking and they didn't use the right vocab for a certain topic, then you're like, right, this is an area, this is a targeted smart target area we need to work on, go away and look at that, and, you know, build up, because you know there's going to be pockets of that they're not going to know. So no, that works that way.
Absolutely. And then of course there is the support, because like you said, sometimes you have to hold back from saying, but also we do need to give them that encouragement, and we do need to validate what they are saying, but then add to that, isn't it? It's building that confidence, and it's building that professional knowledge for them. And I think also going into what you've just said as well, in imparting and sharing that knowledge and experience with them, so they can actually make sense of where they are within that really complex sort of situation at the time, isn't it? So
yeah.
Do you
I think as well, Kath, is it about using that kind of opportunity for deliberate practice as well? You know, giving that rehearsal time. Claire, you've talked about coaching. You know, how can you kind of show the associate teachers how it should be done, but actually in getting them to kind of rehearse and practice without having the children present, but then using that kind of almost that scaffold, and then when they go back in front of the class to have a go themselves. I think that's a really useful way of supporting our associate teachers as well.
Yeah, we did that exact thing the other day. One of the BA3s was needing to stand up in front of the class and be the teacher and be the presence, and we did a like little monologue between us of, you know, how could you say it, how could you present yourself, what could you say, and we kept practicing. I said, right, in the shower tomorrow morning, practice this before you come into school. And you know, we did that little sort of like role play between us almost. So yeah, that was a useful task. That was
right.
And I think it's drawing upon all of those skills that we all use as teachers, isn't it? The modelling, the scaffolding, and like you said, the role modelling, and getting them to practice it, sort of mirroring what you're doing as well, and build that confidence in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So do you want to add anything else to that, Claire, or shall we move on?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So, and I think just moving on to that written feedback as well is about really focusing on the targets, because we do ask the associate teachers to write their current targets on the feedback sheet. So whoever is carrying out that observation has that as their focus, because obviously that's the one thing that they're working on at the time, and will need some sort of current up-to-date feedback on those in order to understand whether they've met them or partially met them or whatever. So I think it's important with that written feedback, and even within the verbal as well, is focusing on the target, on the current targets, and knowing what the associate teacher needs to develop further. So having those conversations around that, which hopefully those conversations have taken place previously and at the weekly meeting anyway. And then it's moving on to setting precise targets to support the associate teacher moving forward. And hopefully that would come out of that dialogue that you've had through that verbal feedback as well, and identifying those next steps. I think we're going to move on to written targets in our next CPD session anyway, but it's also, you know, a really good time here just to remind you about the subject specific prompts to support that written feedback. And is that a link there, Anne?
If you just go to the next slide, Kath, because they'll be there. If you click on the link, we should be able to click on that. Claire, have you used the subject specific prompts? How have you found them? I know we've talked a lot about this now, hub meetings, etc., etc.
I know they're there. I know that they are very detailed and very useful. If I'm honest, I don't delve into them enough. I don't. I think, I don't know if it's because I'm starting to be used to writing the verbal feedback. If I was starting afresh and anew this year again, I think they'd be super useful to help with, right, where do I start? But I think I need to refer back to them a bit more. I think I need to use them and make them to help make my my written feedback, I find, a bit. I think my verbal feedback's better than my written feedback, let's put it that way. And I think if I went to those prompts, they probably would help me a little bit more. So I should look into that this year, I think.
I think how I'm going to work this year, is based on what a colleague said last year, is that I'm going to print off a copy. If I know which subject the associate teacher is going to be teaching, then I'll print off a copy and maybe probably print off a couple of copies and maybe have a stack ready for when I go into school. But then give one to the mentor, so that when we're doing the joint observation, we're then using the same prompt, and I'm kind of scaffolding and showing and modelling how I would use some of the key points in the subject prompt, and how I would adapt those to put those into the feedback. And I think that's a really nice way of working together to say, you know, obviously the verbal feedback I think is a really strong element of practice, but I think the written element, because of time, Claire, for everything, you know, we're all the same, you know, making sure we think about those targets and making them effective. It's good if you can have that conversation together and come at those together.
Yes, I think I will, like you say. I think I've got them printed out. I just need to have them there in front of me. I think you're right. I think it's more of a getting into that system of, right, got the sheet, the thing on the form to fill out on the screen. I've got the prompts at the side of me. I think I just need to get into that system. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we just highlighted, you know, highlighted information. So are they doing that? Oh yeah. Are they not? What are they not doing? Oh, that would be a really nice target. You're not going to give them every target, are you? You're going to pinpoint those that are bespoke at that particular time. So yeah. Thanks, Kath.
Okay, I mean, I was just going to add to that as well. What I've done before is have that prompt sheet open on my laptop as well, and I've even just copied and pasted things over into the feedback, and then just perhaps amended it or added a couple of bullet points underneath. And particularly, I think, Anne, you just mentioned as well, it's good to sometimes be reminded about the kind of things we're looking for, and maybe even looking for the gaps. So I've done that. I've used it in that way as well. But I think certainly having them there at the time is really useful.
And I think if people haven't got, sorry, if people haven't got time to look at those, because I know when you're watching a lesson, you haven't got time to look at the prompts as well. But I found it quite useful during our discussion when the mentor and I have about, that 10 and 10 minutes, say, have a chat before we give feedback, or observe feedback being given to the associate teacher. That's the time when we can use that effective. So, did you spot this? Oh, yeah, well, that's how it makes those valuable links. So I think it's about just using your time wisely as well. Great,
Okay.
thank you, Kath.
And just really here we've got some examples of different types of questions. Really, obviously, it would depend upon the sort of the context, the nature of the discussion that you're having, but it's about asking them those questions, which we talked about earlier as well, didn't we? Sort of from what went well in the lesson to really perhaps digging a little bit deeper, knowledge of data or prior knowledge, challenging different attainment levels, transitions between tasks. So there's lots of different features throughout that lesson that you can perhaps hone in on and ask those questions in order to get them to sort of think about those different aspects of practice. I think someone is.
Yes, you might have to let them in, Kath, because I can't. If I do that, I'll lose the screen. So if you could just possibly let them in, hopefully you'll be able to let them in.
Bear with me. Yes, we have got.
Hello. Who have we got here? Thank you. I'm not able to say anyway. Can just carry on, Kath, and hopefully somebody will be able to put their name in the chat bar. If you'd like to put your name in the chat bar, that'd be lovely, and a really warm welcome to you.
So moving on to the critical incidents. So we ask the associate teachers at each review or progress meeting to complete a critical incident. So they're reflecting on a particular aspect of practice that they've recognised as an aspect of their practice they want to develop and improve on. So it could be around a specific target, it could be something that's arisen that they would like to deepen their knowledge and understanding of. So it's about leading to significant learning and personal growth, and the impact, and then getting them to reflect upon what they've done to have an impact and draw that out within their reflection of that situation. So working with associate teachers to support this reflection at review meetings. So it would be year 3 at the moment, review meeting 3, and then progress meeting 3, or with the PGs who have just gone out into schools and have just started. So theirs would be review meeting 1 and progress meeting 1. And you'll find these, the performance for these in the progress journal. So really based upon the critical incident by Tripp, and it's really about identifying it or observing a situation, and then planning a response to that. So what could I do? It's going away and perhaps doing a little bit of wider reading and some research around it to inform themselves, so that they can begin to think about strategies and approaches that they could use and put in place to see if that does make any difference and see what impact that has. So then observing the effect of that response and then creating the critical incident from that. So ensuring that you're using the BCU assessment tracker as well to identify those key areas for progression, and making those links with the BCU key themes, because that will show that progression towards eventually those teacher standards. And it's an opportunity for them to show and prove that they're progressing and developing as well. So giving them that confidence, but also feeling that they are making a difference. And obviously you as the mentors, your part in that is really vital. So your involvement in discussions around that is vital as the expert colleague. So perhaps identifying an area together where they can then go away and read and do that wider reading in order to support their practice going forward. And so what we've done is really say that we're looking at different aspects. So it's for the review meeting one. So for PGs at the moment, the PGCE school-based training one, their first one would be around behaviour, and then at the end of that school-based training, then link to either phonics or a subject specialism or an area of student reflection and learning. And then obviously year 2 or placement 2, adaptive teaching, and again then around subject knowledge or subject specialism, and then review meeting and progress meeting 3. So current year, this would be linked to current year 3s out on school placement. So looking at assessment linked to a particular subject, and then again a subject specialism or an area of interest reflection. So linking it again to targets really, so that they can look at those in a little bit more depth. So this is what you would see in the progress journal. So we would get them first of all to describe the critical incident. Well, so what has it what stimulated their thoughts and their ideas and their reflection around a particular aspect of practice, and they would like to look at in a little bit more depth. And then going away, sort of identifying the research informed actions that they could take, and then what steps they're putting into place, how are they going to implement that, and what have they done to put that into practice in the classroom, and then obviously reflecting upon that. So what impact did that have upon the pupils' learning and progress, but also what impact has it had on their own professional practice and responsibilities. And then one of the key things also is that we ask them to support that by identifying some evidence that they can share. So it could be a lesson plan, it could be lesson feedback, it could be children's work. So there's lots of different ways that can be evidenced as well. And so this one just gives some guidance on how to complete that. And then so we had a behaviour one there, and I think I'll leave that for now. Perhaps we could put that one up onto the website, couldn't we, Anne?
Yeah.
And this is an example of one where an associate teacher has found that struggling with science as part of the core, and then so thinking about how they can perhaps improve that and improve their subject knowledge and their approach to science in the classroom. So revisiting what they've done at university. So get them to also look at their subject specific development, reflective journals, and also the professional studies development journals that they have. So what have they learnt at university that they can now kind of put into practice and see what impact that will have. As you'll notice here, this particular one has also made some reference to programmes of study for science, and also the BCU key themes C and D. So looking at subject knowledge, and D is
planning.
What is D?
Planning.
Planning. Thank you. And then obviously, if you can see through that as well, making reference to key theme D, children with special educational needs, and English as an additional language, so looking at sort of the needs of a range of children within the classroom, and so making lots of reference there, subject knowledge, use of vocabulary. And then if I go to the next one, oh, too far, sorry. Looking at the impact that's had on the children and their own learning, and linking some theory to that as well. And then how's that impacted upon their own progress against the key themes, and then some evidence to support that. And I think this particular associate teacher had used sort of some photographs of children's work to support the work that the children had done, and to support their critical incident and the impact that it's had. Okay, I think that's it. Do you want me to give you control? Yeah.
So I just to add to that about the critical incident, because I know if you as mentors you're engaging with that, but actually it's about getting the associate teacher, because some of them, you know, and I've done review meetings or progress meetings, they've sort of almost thought it's a night before job. This is not. It's about showing that journey, and it's about really starting thinking about that now. And how are you making that? Because otherwise it's just becoming an exercise. This has got to be a developmental exercise for them to engage with. So I'd really strongly encourage you as mentors to say, tell me what, you know, have you thought about your critical incident? What are you going to write about? Right, let's have a discussion about this at our weekly meeting. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can engage with this. So I do think there's a little bit more conversation and discussion that needs to take place. And I know mentors, you know, it's not all about you initiating that discussion, but it's about maybe giving them a little push and saying, right, I know you've got this to do. Tell me what you're thinking about doing. Hopefully that makes sense to both of you as well.
And I think linking it to those targets. So in your weekly meetings, you know, this is your target. So therefore, could we link that to link your critical incident to that, and go away and do that little bit of reading and research and come back and tell me what you think?
Right.
Right, I'm going to pass back to you then, Anne. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's no problem at all. There's just a couple of things.
Sorry, Claire, I'm going to shoot.
Well, Claire, it's always bang on here because we're nearly finished. So sorry, have you got a question?
No, I was just about to say I had to go, and I'm very glad to be working with you all again, and I thoroughly enjoyed coming in at the end of the summer to see you face to face. It was lovely.
Perfect. So. Well, keep that idea in your head, Claire, because there'll be another face-to-face invitation coming up probably in June. So watch this space for that as well.
Brilliant. Thank you again.
Thanks, Claire. Bye-bye. Thank you. And just to finish off, this is some feedback about, you know, how this session today, CPD1, links to CPD2. And as Kath has said, we've been talking about that verbal feedback, giving feedback. But in our next session, we're going to be concentrating on that written feedback, particularly using our assessment tracker, so that, you know, people can make those targets that are going to be personable, that are going to be bespoke, and are going to support the associate teacher at this particular point in their training. So as I said, that links really neatly with you having an associate teacher in school to be able to support you to make those targets and help you to write those targets as well. So really value your feedback as well. So if you want to share anything in the chat bar, I know you came in late, but don't worry, this is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to access the information, and certainly the presentation will be available to you as well. If you just want to pop your email, I'm sorry, I don't know, is it Chris? Your name, sorry, I can only see Chris Seamoran. I'm not sure if that person's available, Kath. Perhaps they. No. So what you're here. Yeah. You're here. Well done. So please, you know, if you want to, if you've got any questions or else, I can send a copy of the presentation to you. I'll be putting it up onto the website as well. So really just to say thank you so much for joining today. And obviously we'll make sure that you can access the information. If you've got any questions, then please just get in touch with us and use the Primary Partnership website. It's the fountain of all knowledge to help you to work with your associate teachers. So thank you so much for joining today.
I
Thank you.
think, you.
That's great. Thank you. I think you're on mute, Kath. So I'll just stop recording. Okay, I think that's it. Do you know, Kath, I'm not sure whether that actually recorded. I'm just going to test again if that's okay. No, it's all right. I've got the transcript. That's fine. But when
Okay.
it says recording, it didn't come on with a red button. So I'm not sure why it's not. When if you record it, Kath, does it, when you press recording, does it come on? Does a red button come on? Because that's what normally happens.
The red button's on now.
Oh right. So if you want to, so has it gone off now? Stop recording.